Hi folks, you can see the time at the bottom right and the date at the bottom right of your screen. So there you go. That's the time and date. No point me saying it while it's there really. You can already see it. Anyway, there's been a lot of quite annoying things happening recently. I mean, there's that sad thing happened today in London where a police officer was shot, and then the person who shot the police officer tried to kill himself, but wasn't successful. Police officer died. But of course, then you have people coming out with some of these ridiculous statements that we should be not just upset but angry at this because a police officer, for goodness sake, has been shot and killed. That this police officer was a hero. Why? Because he was shot and killed? Would you have described him as a hero had he not been shot and killed? Yes, of course, it's terrible that this officer's family have got to deal with this loss. Terrible situation. Not good in any way, shape, or form. Quite nasty. I mean, there haven't been that many killings of police officers, which is good. In the 60s, there was a lot. The gangs didn't care whether they killed a copper. Some of the gangs certainly didn't care. And, the police were scared to go into certain areas because they knew that the gangs would be after them if they tried. And so, you had all of that situation. So, we come to a situation where we have a police officer shot dead. And as I say, sad. But when people, as I say, that they exaggerate it so much, this is a catastrophe. Well, what happens when a non-police officer is killed? Is that a catastrophe? Is that something that is horrendous? Is that person a hero because they were shot? It happened in the line of duty. Police officer was doing his job. The person got out a gun, shot the police officer, killed the police officer. Unfortunately, that happened. It doesn't happen that often, which is good. But let's have an understanding of it. Come on. When Joe Bloggs is shot and killed, there's no blinking media outrage that Joe Bloggs was shot and killed. The normal person who's not a police officer, who's not out there doing their job, who's been trained to try and handle and deal with these situations. So come on, be reasonable, be understanding of the situation, for goodness sake. It is absolutely and totally preposterous that normal person gets shot, killed, stabbed, killed, whatever. Nothing really gets said about that. Doesn't really matter, does it? But God damn it, if it ever happens to a police officer, there's got to be outrage. We've got to be angry about that. Sod off. Sod off. If someone being killed is outrageous, then it's outrageous. You can't simply label it outrageous because it's a police officer. You can't simply say that a police officer is a hero because he got killed. Shut up. And all this point where, as I said before, the reason why so many people don't like the police in any way, shape or form, me included, is because you have that ridiculous situation that if something happens to a police officer and they don't find the person immediately, you have the police from all surrounding areas coming out, investigating, trying to help to find the person who was so out of order. They dared to attack a police officer. Excuse me, police officers are human. They're just like the rest of us. They're not special in any way, shape or form. They're not superhuman. They're not heroes. They don't just volunteer their time. They're not exactly... I mean, for example, do the police try and stop fights from happening? No. What the police do is they basically say, look, if someone attacks you, then call us because then we can arrest somebody. That's the police. Does that sound like a hero? Let's not try and stop the fight from happening. Let's just make sure that when it does, we can arrest somebody. Yeah, that's not heroic in any way, shape, or form. And that generally is the police. Generally speaking, they have no powers really to actually stop anything from happening. They don't. They should, but they don't. But as soon as something happens, bang, they're around. No problem at all. They don't come round when you call them beforehand. I mean, I would say if you're someone who, if you called the police about, someone harassing you, someone giving you problems, and the police haven't attended, they haven't spoken to the person, then you get into a fight happens between you and that person, and the police try to arrest you. Then, as part of your defence, call and prosecute. Have those officers prosecuted who didn't actually attend. That's part of your defence. If they would have attended and dealt with the situation and stopped it from escalating, the fight wouldn't have happened. In therefore, which case you wouldn't now be arrested. I'm sorry, the police aren't heroes, not in any way, shape, or form. Now, you would get the example where maybe one or two officers in a certain area may be quite heroic in something they do. But as a whole, that isn't the case, not in any way, shape, or form. They're just like the rest of us. Yeah, they've got issues, they've got problems. They're no different to the rest of us. So let's stop trying to lift them, elevate them way above everyone else. We get this every time a police officer is attacked. I mean, for goodness sake. They had that situation recently where the police officer tried to stop a car. These people were trying to steal something. They had a tow rope connected to something that they were trying to steal. The police officer's foot got caught on a tow rope because he was trying to stop the car from getting away. You're a human being trying to stop a car. Not a wise move. Unfortunately, the officer died because he was dragged. And of course, that officer was elevated up to being a hero. Yeah, the perpetrators were, all the families of the people or the police officers, the people, ex-coppers, they were the ones speaking to the media about how the people responsible for it should face the harshest of punishments possible. Absolutely and totally. Yeah. First-degree murder they should face. Well, of course, there wasn't first-degree murder. You have to prove that they knew the officer was being dragged behind the car, which you can't really do. If they say they didn't know, you can't prove it, can you really? Unless you've got strong evidence to suggest that they knew, you can't do anything about that, really. But no, come on. Stop elevating people. Police officers are just the same as the rest of us. They make mistakes. They do things wrong. They have good days and bad days. Some are good and some are really bad. As in people. Some are good people, some are really bad people. It's what it is. The same as any walk of life. You get good and you get bad in that walk of life. That's the reality. Yeah, that's the way it goes, isn't it? So, yeah, stop trying to elevate people because of something that's happened. Yes, it's terrible that a police officer died. Of course, it's terrible a police officer died, but, it is their job. Their job is to put themselves in that position. That is their job. Yeah? They get a fair good pension because of it. They get, decent wages. They get a lot of protection in their job. Amber. Tappy. stay there. She's sleeping, but she's got her paws right next to the bit of wood there. And now just keep on tapping against it. Riley, go lay down. Lay down, my boy. Good bub. Lay down, Riley. Put your bum down. Come on. So, yeah, that's one bit of ranting. As I say, come in. First of all, yeah, again, it's out of order that the bloke did this. Yeah, the bloke killed the copper intentionally, then tried to kill himself. I mean, disgusting behaviour. Yeah, of course it is. Disgusting behaviour. Yeah, it's what it is. But that doesn't mean that it's so much worse because it was a police officer. That's a certainty. It's no worse. So there's the one. There's the first bit. Second is Trump. Trump was asked the other day about will he oversee a peaceful transition if he loses the election? He said, well, we'll have to see about that. We'll have to see about that. Is that what Obama said? You know, when it was you versus Clinton, Mr. Trump, did Obama say, we'll have to see? Peaceful transition, we'll have to see. Yeah. I'm going to make sure he doesn't get in, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, no. Obama didn't say, I'm not going to leave because I'm not going to have this lunatic in charge. This is not what the forefathers saw. He could easily have said that, and most people would be going, yeah, actually, you're right. TV personality. I mean, it was bad enough having Reagan, but at least Reagan had been involved in politics for a long time. But he was an actor, but at least he'd been involved in politics. Here we have this idiot, con man, basically, who's now been elected. Now, okay. Then I saw something that was talking about that certain states are already pretty much a shoo-in to vote for Trump again. It's like, well, look, after the last election when Trump got voted in, we were told to a certain degree, forgive the people that voted for Trump because they didn't know any better. Right? He'd never been in a position to be elected into such a position before. So therefore, the people that voted for him, they trusted him. They were wrong to trust him, but they trusted him. Yeah. And you can say, well, okay, maybe they thought, well, he shouldn't do any worse than the politicians who have lied to us for years. Right? Understandable for them to think that, maybe. Yeah. 4 years later, they know that they were wrong. They know that if they were thinking that way, they were wrong. And yet they're voting for him again. I mean, you have to say, with that being the case, you've not learned a thing in 4 years. You have not learned a thing. And you're in a situation where if Trump wins this election, America is in the situation that in 4 years' time, he's going to be saying the same. Someone will interview him and say about a peaceful transition of power when he leaves, and he will say, we'll see what happens. He will have no intention whatsoever of leaving. Because the thing of it is, he can say things like this. He can say that, rather than say, yeah, of course it's going to be a peaceful resolution. Of course, not resolution, transition. Of course it'll be a peaceful transition. Yeah, how could you ever think it might not be? Of course it's going to be that. And then go on to speak about the balance and say, yeah, but we'll have to sort out the balance. I don't trust his mail-in votes at all. He could have said that. No, he just deflected about the mail-in votes. So we've got to sort out the balance. That's going to be what he uses as an excuse for why he's not going to accept. Oh, but we had the mail-in voters. I don't trust the mail-in voters. Those votes shouldn't count. Really? So what about the Republicans who sent in mail-in votes? Should their votes count? I mean, what's going to happen if there's more Republicans sending in mail-in votes than Democrats, but the Democrats still win? Trump will still try to blame mail-in votes, although once it's pointed out to him that Republicans sent in more mail-in votes than Democrats, then suddenly his call for the mail-in votes to be discounted will disappear. But he'll try it. He'll see if he can get away with it. He's got away with so much, hasn't he, really? Yeah, the news people have not held him accountable, not in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they seem to just ignore his outbursts and the crazy, crazy things he does and says. Or when they tried to bring it back, that the big news person did the interview with Trump where Trump was basically saying, he knew at the beginning of COVID that it was that bad. He knew it was really, 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 really bad, but then he was telling everyone else it wasn't. When he was then pulled up on that, fake news. And of course, people then shut up. They didn't actually continue that line of questioning because fake news. Yeah. Well, there you go. I'll say there's some craziness. Yep, there is some utter craziness. I mean, that election will be over fairly soon, early November. Well, unfortunately, I mean, you can't really say that Democrats have put a great candidate forward. Not in any way, shape, or form. I mean, maybe if Biden had been the option 4 years ago, maybe that would have made sense. Problem is with Biden, he's certainly a politician. He knows how to get things done. He knows how to work with the other side, which is always good. And he's more a Republican than he is a Democrat, really, because he's more leaning on the right than he is left. So, in a way, he would be better. He'd certainly be better than Trump, a lot better. But it's such a shame that the Democrats didn't go with someone younger, fitter, stronger, quicker in thought. Yeah. I mean, Biden's got the wisdom. The problem is his brain doesn't seem to click over very well at all. He's quite slow and he's quite methodical, which is good in some things. And maybe as a leader, it's good. The problem is he looks as if he's one cough away from death. He looks old, really old right now. So, I mean, you compare Trump to Biden. Biden looks older. He's not really much older at all, is he? They're pretty much the same age. But Trump just looks younger, comes across as younger, even though Trump himself has a brain that doesn't seem to work. But he looks a bit younger. So, here's what it is, isn't it? So, there you go. Right, you take care. God bless, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.